why being fit and self-aware gives you freedom. Okay, so freedom from what? What am I even talking about? When you start working out, start taking yourself seriously, start sharpening your mindset, man, you start to free yourself from some things. Okay, and some of them may be obvious, but some of them are more nuanced, more underneath, and that's what I want to kind of break down. All right, so when you start working out, you start building this relationship with yourself where you get to a point where you don't have to follow the crowd anymore, and this comes from building discipline, building confidence within yourself, building a routine within yourself. Let me fix my camera real quick. Building confidence within yourself, building that routine, right? And it's almost like once you start building this routine within yourself, it's like you don't move on anybody else's time anymore. You move on your time. That's like the fit side of things. You know me, I always talk about being fit and self-aware. When you start being more self-aware, why this gives you freedom? When you start sharpening your mindset, it frees you from responding on autopilot. When you start being more mindful, start meditating, start learning how to live in the present moment, start learning how to be grounded, keep yourself grounded as a man. That doesn't mean you don't have your moments. That doesn't mean you don't get knocked off your square every now and again. But you know how to get back on your square. And you know how to do it quickly. When you start doing this, man, it frees you from being a slave to your emotions. It frees you from being a slave to the emotions and the actions of others too. You start to take more ownership and agency over your life and how you respond to things in life. When you start working out, start lifting weights, start taking yourself more seriously, you free yourself from the need to always have to seek the pat on the back. You learn how to start giving the pat on the back to yourself. Hopefully you start to learn that. You stop seeking validation from other people. You start to learn how to give it to yourself. You start to show up for yourself. A lot of people will never experience this type of freedom. They will never know what it feels like to show up for themselves. They will live their lives always showing up for somebody else. That's not to say that that's a bad thing. Let me go ahead. What I mean is, it's great to be of service to people. I do that with this YouTube channel. I show up for y'all. I show up for myself in creating this content. It's the little things like that. It's the follow through. It's doing things that you say you're going to do. If I know I need to get a video recorded, I need to get this video recorded. Now, yeah, sometimes it falls through the cracks sometimes, because I got a full-time job as well. But for the most part, if I need to get it recorded, I need to get it up. It's just like going to the gym. It's honoring yourself. And back to how this gives you freedom when you're working out. It gives you that freedom not only from seeking validation from others, but it gives you the freedom of not caring what other people think. And I know you might hear that, and I know not caring what other people think is not easy to do. Naturally, we do it to a degree. I still have my moments where I may find myself falling into that, where I care about what somebody thinks about me. But the more you work on that self-awareness component, the better you get at pulling yourself out of that. And that's what I be talking about when these things coincide, when being fit and being self-aware, when you bring them together, you become more in alignment. You become a force to be reckoned with when you move through life, when you have all of this. Because look, you can be fit, you can have muscles, you can look good in the mirror, but you can lack like emotional maturity. You can lack self-awareness. You might not know how you act around other people. You might still lack that awareness to know how you're really showing up in the room. But you look good. Yeah, that's cool. But you want to be more balanced. You want to have it all, so to speak. You want to be able to stay grounded while being lean and carrying some muscle on you. People trust you when you have this package. When you have the physical that matches the emotional, self-aware ability to just move through life in integrity. And back to what I was saying about how it frees you from caring what people think, man. when you start showing up for yourself, when you start setting those little mini promises to yourself that I need to get to the gym today, I need to start reading books more, I need to actually sit down and meditate here for 5 or 10 minutes. When you start making those promises to yourself and doing it over and over and over again, you build that self-trust within you. This frees you from the need of having to seek anything from anybody else, because you know that you can rely on yourself. Now, that's not to say that we don't need other people. I would never say no dumb shit like that. We all need somebody. We all are going to need help at some point in our lives. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is not caring what people think, not seeking validation, learning how to build your own foundation within yourself, learning how to establish that relationship that you have with yourself. Man, I went and saw Toy Story 5 with my son. And not to make this about Toy Story, but you already know that movies like this, they got some type of underlying meaning in there for the adults too. And there's a young girl in the movie, I'm not going to give the movie away, but there's a young girl in the movie who, her parents end up giving her a tablet. And this tablet, like they show a scene where the girl gets the tablet in front of her and how she just starts to get sucked into it. Like real life, like us, with our phones and our devices. And she uses the tablet and she's trying to like make friends and ends up, I guess, getting cyberbullied. I don't mean to even put that in air quotes, but I think that's what was kind of happening in the movie. Honestly, man, I'm not the biggest Toy Story person, and I kind of be like zoning out sometimes when when I'm in that movie. But yeah, I think she was like getting cyberbullied or something like that, and she was trying to like, you could tell that the character really cared about what her friends thought about her. Obviously, the girl's a young girl in the movie. It's a young character. And it got me to thinking like how we're like conditioned for that. In real life, us, men, women who were little girls, us who were little boys, it had me thinking about my son who's sitting right next to me, how we're bred to care about what other people think. And we carry this with us into adulthood if we don't get a handle on it, or if we never really understand why we do the things that we do. And it got me to thinking like that caring what people think about us, man, it's so impactful in our lives. And I feel like the sooner you can, being 42 now, looking back on life, man, I was saying to myself the other day, I feel like I've lived 7 lives when I think about the shit that I've been through throughout my life. But looking back on life, man, and the younger me, and my son, using my son, and my younger daughter too, you know, I've talked about my relationship with my daughters on here too. You know, I have a rocky relationship with them, and but just, you know, for the sake of this video, I'm talking about my son because he was with me in the movie theater. But you know, thinking about how like young kids, I was thinking about like the younger kids when I was going to school who like worked out, or the kids who were athletes. And I'm talking about at a young age, 6th grade, 7th grade, that's 11, 12, 13, you know, middle school type age. It almost seemed like those kids who like worked out, it's like they always had a leg up in a way. You know, maybe it's because they had something to go after at that young age. Whether it was sports, whether they were trying to achieve, I don't know, winning. But just the energy around those kids who you knew were athletic, you knew who worked out. It was something about the energy around them. And that same energy, like, you experience that as an adult too. When you work out, it's a certain type of freedom that pouring into yourself gives you. And I was thinking about how I used to see that with kids I used to go to school with. Like my son now, you know, talking about confidence and stuff like that. My son was able to do a backflip the other day. I'm gonna put a clip of it here as I'm speaking right now so you can see it. And I went to pick him up the other day, you know, to get my time with him, and he was like, "Hey Dad, I just did a backflip with no hands." He's like, "Can I show you?" I was like, "Yeah, you can show me that," because to me it just took me back to being a child again, when I used to see kids who used to be able to flip. It was like the coolest thing, being able to see those kids who could flip, and then to have my son be able to do that, and to see him doing that as a dad, it shows me like confidence at a young age. Confidence at a young age with these kids who work at something. And it comes from us parents too, pouring into them and almost giving them a sense of freedom within themselves, like to just, like my son, like having this freedom of like, he's just fearless. You know what I mean? life don't got him knocked down so much. Life is not have him pulled down so much where he's still a kid and can just say, I'm going to commit to doing this backflip. Now I'm trying to tie, I know I'm getting on my tangents here. Y'all know how I do. But I'm tying it all back into just when you pour into yourself, man, when you find ways to build your own confidence, when you find ways to work at things that are challenging, how that builds your character, how that builds you up. And the sooner you can discover that, you know, the better, the easier life is going to be. Life is going to be challenging no matter what. My son is right here. He walked over to the camera, so if y'all see me, hey, life is going to be challenging no matter what. So the sooner you can put yourself in positions where you make yourself uncomfortable so that you can learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. One of the easiest ways to do that is to start working out. Maybe. Is to start working out. You make yourself naturally uncomfortable. You put your body and your mind under stress. This ultimately, in turn, gives you freedom in a way. And I know that sounds weird. You're like, how does that give you freedom? I'm still confused. Bro, it gives you freedom, especially when you start taking it real serious, man. You get freedom, like, you know how to say no. I'm not tied to, like, what the crowd does, what everybody does. Everybody eats sweets. Everybody drinks soda. No, I don't. I don't do any of that. I freed myself from that. I eat how I want to eat. One of my coworkers one day, I was sitting outside with her after the shift, and I was telling her how I had to go to the grocery store. I was like, man, I gotta go to the grocery store. I ain't got no list. She's like, you need to write you a list. Write you a list. What you gonna get? You gonna get some snacks? What you gonna get? I was like, probably not. Probably gonna get some pineapples. Pineapples? Like, cause to me, in my mind, that's a snack. You know, I don't really sit down eating a bag of Doritos or anything. Every now and again, I might get a bag of chips, but that's very rare. But this is what I'm saying. I move on my own time. I move on my own frequency, and that's what happens when you start really prioritizing getting fit, becoming more self-aware. You move on your own time. It's almost like people start to look at you as like, oh yeah, that's the guy that eat healthy all the time, or not even all the time. Like, they might make jokes. Oh yeah, you know Bryce ain't eating that. Like, nope, hell nah, I ain't eating that. You know what I mean? Like, you become that guy. People expect it of you. It ain't nothing wrong with that. Don't let that discourage you. Don't let again, it circles back around to worry about what people think about you. Don't let what people think about how you eat, what your diet is, discourage you. Oh, they always hating on me. Let them hate, man. You keep doing what's working for you. That's what it's about. That's confidence. That's moving on your own accord. You become your own role model. You learn how to lead yourself. This is what freedom is. You don't move on autopilot. You move in a way that is in alignment with what brings you the best things for you. That's what getting fit, getting self-aware, that's what it'll do. And I said it again, bring it all together, man. Work on your body, work on your physical vehicle. This is a vehicle for your spirit, for your mind. So it's not about ego. It's about being strong. It's about being capable. It's about being functional too. Being a functional individual. I was thinking about that too as I get older, being 42 years old. Functionality is important. That's another reason you want to work out. Physical functionality. And then tie that into being self-aware. Being functional mentally. Being functional emotionally. Not being, being able to be flexible. Not overreacting to things. Being more aware of yourself. All of this stuff. Make you more of a complete man. Make you more of a complete individual. Being fit and being self-aware gives you freedom to move through life on your own frequency. Stop following the crowd. Create your own crowd. If you're getting any value out of this video, please smash the like button. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you know when I make more videos like this. It's really all I have for y'all. I don't mean to talk your head off about this, man. I just want to make this quick video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, check out this video right here on the screen. YouTube thinks you'll like this one too. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.